Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 5 of season 4 of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back at another new Formula 1 circuit. I guess we can't really call it new, heading back to ZANDVOORT for the 4th time in this series. But yeah, obviously if you're new around here, do make sure you get yourself subscribed. If you missed out the last video that went live from the Chinese Grand Prix over the weekend, I would definitely recommend going back and checking that one out as well. There won't be any spoilers for another couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1, now. So, the first 4 races of the season done and dusted then, and we are just 1 point clear at the top of the standings over Alex Albon there. You can see George Russell in 3rd and Valtteri Bottas 4th place ahead of Daniel Ricciardo and our teammate Lewis Hamilton. We're 3rd in the Constructors standings, a place I don't think we've been in since about midway through season 2 of this series. So yeah, safe to say Red Bull and Mercedes have certainly upped the ante as we head into season 4 there. Albon, George Russell, Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton have all won Grand Prix this year. 4 different race winners in the first 4 races of this series as well there. It has been a brilliant start to the new year. But heading into round 5 of the season, could today finally be the day we get our first win on the cards? Let's head then here for qualifying. Here we go then, qualifying day around the infamous ZANDVOORT circuit then. As always, we're going to try and do our first run on the mediums. It's never really worked out for us so far this season, trying to go out for our first lap on these tyres, but hopefully today can be just a little bit different here. I do really enjoy racing around this track, trying to get 1 lap hooked up. When you get it right, is really satisfying around this track. We do have a Mclaren a couple of seconds up the road. Hopefully they won't be too much of an issue for us as we try to get the car slowed down through the first corner of Tarzan. We probably want to be aiming, yeah, for a high 107 on these mediums. Maybe a low 108 might just be enough to sneak us through into Q3 here. But once again, as always, Mercedes and Red Bull looking quick. This should be a track that suits Red Bull rather nicely, in all honesty, as well as obviously ourselves. But we'll wait and see as to what does happen there as we almost run wide through that corner. But so far keeping the lap nice and tidy, get it rotated through, trying not to take too many risks. That's obviously what mistakes we made at China, where we're trying to overdrive the car and then just kept making mistakes on all of our runs. So hopefully this time around we can be a bit more sensible. Bottas has actually put in a banker as well on the medium, so hopefully we'll get a good reference as to where we are in comparison to the Mercedes man. 2 more corners to go then, brake just at the 50-metre board. Try and really open up the run through there, ride the curb on the exit, and then at the final corner there, try and get the shortest run up towards start-finish line. It's going to be a 1:08.0, so we go quicker than Bottas. That might be good enough for Q3, but we'll have to wait and see, as the auto spin curb claims another. So there we are then, Q2 done and dusted here in the Dutch Grand Prix. There you can see actually both myself and Lewis Hamilton get through on the mediums for us. George Russell also sneaking through as well there, but Bottas had to go out. He wasn't going to make it through on those mediums there. So it's both Mercedes, both Ferraris, both Red Bulls, both of our cars, and both AlphaTauris into Q3 this weekend. AlphaTauri really starting to prove themselves as the best of the rest there and a real rival to Ferrari on Saturdays. Neither of their race pace seems to be as good though. Let's dive in then here to Q3. Here we go then, Q3 from the Dutch Grand Prix. One of the tracks where you've absolutely got to be on it if you want to be trying to get a pole in this career mode here. But hopefully we'll get 2 shots. Let's try not to waste the first one, then get a good banker in. So far the pace has felt quite good. We seem to be a couple of tenths off our teammate Lewis Hamilton on the 1 lap runs, but always on Saturday this season we seem to struggle in comparison to Sunday. They're breaking down in towards the first corner, a little bit deep as we snag the inside wheel, but we do get the car nicely rotated out onto the curbs on the exit, chuck it down through turn 2 and then way too deep through turn 3. Hopefully we'll give us a bit of a better run on the exit there, but we've definitely lost a lot of time. Hamilton at 1:08 though is certainly not a good enough time for pole position. We're probably going to be looking towards the 6s. A low 7 might just be enough to put yourself in a good position and ready for the Grand Prix, but so far this lap has not been particularly great there, just missing a couple of apexes, running a bit wide in a couple of places as well as we just try to get the car rotated through the corners. As long as we don't make any major mistakes, we put a banker down, That is probably going to be the most important thing, as someone else has gone a few tenths fast there. Valtteri Bottas up into provisional pole. Keep it tidy through the final sector of the lap. Then this still should hopefully be a 107 here as we really open up the exit of the penultimate corner there. Make sure we just try and take the shortest line to the finish line there. Down towards start-finish line. It's going to be a 7-6. 2 tenths off Bottas. Wasn't actually as bad a lap as I thought it would be, but there's definitely a couple more tenths in it. Here we go then, getting ready for our final run of the session then. Everyone else has gone back out. I'm not too sure. Is it Daniel Ricciardo on provisional pole? I think it might be for the Australian here, but we get one more shot at this to try and get the lap nailed. We've got to try and find a few more tenths of a second, but let's just see what we can do then. Sweat mode might need to be engaged for this final run around the Dutch Grand Prix circuit. Break down nice and tidily in towards the first corner there. A lot close to the apex, and we are green as we head off the exit of the first corner. Oh, way too deep into turn 2, but again, tidier through turn 3. Try and avoid the wheel spin on the X there, and we're a good 10.5 up as we head in towards sector 2 here, up towards the top of the hill. Oh god, almost clipping the grass on the inside there. Definitely don't want to do that. Oh, we do clip the grass though on the exit. That's definitely going to be a little bit of time thrown away. A much tidier run though through that corner as we try to avoid the wheel spin once again on the exit here. So far, again, hasn't been the best lap in the world, but we are still a couple of tenths up on our previous run. Depending on what obviously the top guys have done, maybe there's a chance still of pole position here as we try to keep it tidy in towards the final sector. No mistakes, anything like that. Hamilton does a 7-2 though, as we don't get a good run out of the final corner here. We are still going to improve, but it's going to be by nowhere near enough in the end. I think it's going to be about a mid-7. Where's that going to leave us on the grid? That was such a close qualifying session. 8th place on the grid there, and we're, what, 4 tenths off our teammate when qualifying is done and dusted. How close was that session there? What can we do?
Albon, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
7 cars separated by 1/4 of a second there. We were just a 10th off Daniel Ricciardo, and then Pierre Gasly in 9th was practically a second off myself there. But Albon sneaks pole in the dying stages of the session there. 4 cars from 4 different teams with 4 different power units within a 10th of a second at the end of qualifying there as well. But 8th place on the grid for the Dutch Grand Prix is not where we wanted to start. If anything, though, we did make a couple of mistakes, but realistically, I think, what, probably 5th place between the Ferraris was going to be all we were going to be able to get there at the end of qualifying. But race pace is always a bit stronger. I cannot believe that. Let's just dive it in then here to the Dutch Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and ZANDVOORT, 25 miles away from Amsterdam, and the host for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. ZANDVOORT circuit, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout a 2.6 mile lap. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Can I get your take on Haas? We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Alexander Albon put in a great lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Russell, Ricciardo, Mr. Monaco, Gasly and Daniel Kvyat, Stroll, Ocon, Carlos Sainz and Perez, Raikkonen, Matsushita, Jordan King and Kevin Magnussen. De Vries, Giovinazzi, Latifi and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for round 5 of the season from the Dutch Grand Prix. So far, P8 doesn't seem all too good, but our qualifying strength has never been particularly great so far this season. I think in every race but Vietnam we have gone forward in the Grand Prix there. We finished on the podium in 4 races, and obviously Albon now on pole position. Could he take the championship lead off us as well here? Plenty of questions to be asked. That's another one. What is the rain going to do if it arrives towards the end of the Grand Prix as well there? There is a lot of questions as we head into this round of the season here. But hopefully we can get off the start clean and tidy. Maybe make up a couple of places as well there. It seems that the big 4 teams at the moment have such a clear-cut advantage over the rest of the field there. But Ferrari, are we going to see them finally bring a bit more strength to the race pace? Or are we going to see, just like we've seen from them so far, they go backwards over the course of 36 laps here? All will be answered. Let's just dive right into it then. Round 5 of the season here for the Dutch Grand Prix then. One of the craziest tracks on the calendar. 5 red lights. And it's a lights out. And away we go. Off to a almost good start. There's Ricciardo. Aggressively chops in front of us. I wasn't planning on sticking it up the inside of a couple of cars, but we've done it anyway. George Russell. Oh, and Ricciardo's still there. I guess that's... Oh my god, we're 3 wide. This is uncommentatable. Words, commentary, you know, it all got a bit tense as Ricciardo runs to the back of us again. We've survived. Breathe. Holy moly, that was rather scary, I'll be honest. Off the start, there's Ricciardo still trying to look for something. As we reached the top of the hill, we were on the mediums, so honestly I was hoping that we could just hold on to our grid position there, but we do get around George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo at the start of the Grand Prix. Even one of the Alpha Towers, I think it was Pierre Gasly, had a look at trying to make something happen as well off the start there. But what a start it's been here from the Dutch Grand Prix. Albon still leads the way, rather unsurprisingly. Hamilton also on the mediums is going to probably be trying to do the alternate strat as well as myself there. We'll wait and see, obviously, when the rain is meant to arrive over the course of today, but it seems like not too many swaps in front of us. It appears that Albon still leads from Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas there, as Verstappen and Leclerc just in front of myself. Can we get a good run on Charles Leclerc down in towards the first corner? Think about it, but not quite close enough. We've moved up 2 places, though, off the start, and yeah, I think for one of the first times in this series we were actually left speechless at the start of the Grand Prix. But anyway, now it's time to put our head down and focus. Ferrari on some quicker rubber. I'm intrigued to see if we'll still be able to get round them. Coming towards the end of lap 2, it appears that Hamilton's under some pressure from his former teammate Valtteri Bottas there. I think Bottas might be trying to look right around the outside through the final corner there. It's going to be a drag race between the pair of them. Back down towards turn 1 as Albon just tries to pull away. There are a couple of fastest laps coming in as well. But Hamilton under real pressure, and I think Bottas has had him right around the outside through the final and first corner there. We are still potentially trying to look around the outside now of Charles Leclerc as everyone Constantine is up. Try and get a good run. For some reason, Charles Leclerc gives me the run on the exit there. Almost a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact as we go side by side up the hill. And look at that, Charles Leclerc slamming the door shut. We have to bail out of that one. Wasn't trying to look for a move down the inside. Just wanted some clear air over the front wing there. Again, all getting a bit tense at the start of this race. Come on, surely now we can get a good run on Charles Leclerc. Look at the slingshot out of the final corner there. Albon, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but everyone's trying to use the DRS to their advantage. Up the inside, though, of Charles Leclerc in towards the first corner as Hamilton, yeah, all over the shop on that medium rubber just in front of us. Homeboy Verstappen, though, the next car on the old hit list as Charles thinks about trying to get the nose back at the inside. Don't do that. Good run on Maxi Boy Verstappen out of the final corner as Albon still setting the timing screens alight. We only go a 10th slower, though, that time around as all. Max just struggling a bit on those soft compound tyres through the first corner. We'll try and hook it up around the outside as we head in towards turn 2 there. Verstappen, very, very cautious, and we've got him pulled off the move. Up into 4th place of this race as always, trying to make quick progress at the start here. Next up then, our teammate Lewis Hamilton. Is he still struggling, or has he got to grips with those tyres again? There we go, the first 1 minute 10 then of the Grand Prix, a 10.8 at the end of lap 5 there. And yeah, pace definitely feeling good in the early stages. I think we're going to start seeing all these soft compound tyres hit the cliff in not too long here, but we've kept our mediums in good check. Again, not too sure if Hamilton's been able to. He seemed to be a bit all over the road, but hopefully Oh, so there we go. Jeff saying the rain is meant to be here in 10 minutes' time, so this could be absolutely critical. If we're able to keep our mediums until that wet spell, and all the others have to pit onto a fresh set of tyres, that could be really, really good for us. And the rain, when it arrives, is really meant to pour.
Okay, clear.
Oh, they got yellow flags out. Someone appears to be struggling. I think it's one of the Alfa Romeos once again having reliability issues here. Is it Giovinazzi or is it Matsushita? It is Matsushita, and we got a safety car. What do we do here? Do we pit onto a fresh set of softs and go to the wet period, or do we just stay out? Questions, questions, questions. I think we'll see what the rest of the AI do. I reckon it's worth pitting, in all honesty. I reckon the rain's going to be a little while longer, and so does Alex Albon. Hamilton, though, opts to stay out in this Grand Prix. Make sure we get it slowed down nice and tidily into the pit lane. But we're going to go out onto a set of the soft compounded tyres there. There is Alex Albon. He's gone back out on the mediums, so split strategies then. Coming out by all the teams. 2.5 second pit stop. We do stay ahead of Max Verstappen there, and Stroll appears to have taken the gamble to stay out there. Now it's a case of hoping the rain takes a little while longer to get to the circuit there. But yeah, I think that's also Bottas who stayed out. No, Bottas must have pit in, so Bottas has lost a lot of ground. George Russell stayed out, as well as Lance Stroll here. So now everything gets just a little bit mixed up. Coming to the end of lap 9 then, we're about to go green here once again from the Dutch Grand Prix. Our teammate Lewis Hamilton leads the way ahead of George Russell and Lance Stroll there, so both our two other drivers are starting on the mediums. Have opted to stay out there, as well as Lance Stroll in P3. We've got our main title rival, Alex Albon, just ahead of us as we try to get ready for the restart here. When is Hamilton going to go out of the final turn? Hopefully we can just sort of preempt it. Try and get a run on Alex Albon. I don't think we've done so. We might have done so. Albon aware of it. Going to cut across us as we head down in towards the first corner there. We'll try and look around the outside through Tarzan as all George Russell gets fished out of there. Boxes myself and Lance Stroll in, and that's given Albon an opportunity up the inside there. We got a punt from the Mclaren behind us. It's all kicking off on the restart here, but one person it has benefited is our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who romps away, as you see up the hill there, into a clear-cut advantage as we restart this Grand Prix there. Only on lap 10, we've already had plenty of action early on in this race. There is now Albon and I all over the back of Lance Stroll. I think Carlos Sainz damaged his front wing by running into the side of us there, so I think he's going back down the order just a little bit. But can we get a run on Albon before he can do the same to Lance Stroll there, running a bit deep off the exit of the corner, but we do get a good run up the inside accidentally on Alex Albon there. I don't think we'll be able to get the run on the exit of the corner. A lot of wheel-to-wheel contact as Albon just pushes us out there on the exit of the corner. Now we got one of the Mercedes of Bottas around the outside. Almost makes the move work. Doesn't quite have enough space to get the power down when he wanted to on the exit of the corner there. And after all of that, we end up in P5 still of the restart. So that's all been a little bit crazy, trying to get this race underway once again. But Lance Stroll, himself now getting a bit squirrely off the exit of turn 1. Is Albon going to be able to have a look this time round? Thinks about it, but can't quite make the move work. We're going to send it nice and deep through the hairpin, try to get the run on the exit. Look at that, now we've got the run on Alexander Albon there, straight back up into 4th place of this Grand Prix there. But Stroll, I missed how long Jeff said till the rain there. I think he said 15 minutes now, so the rain seems to be getting further away from this Dutch Grand Prix circuit once again here. But Stroll got a very, very quick car down the straight. Are we going to be able to potentially pull something off as Albon tries to get a look on the exit there? Stroll doesn't get a good run though, runs over the curb, and we're going to be on the outside as we head down in towards the final chicane of the lap. Round the outside we go. It gives us the inside for the second part. Stroll gives us the race in respect, and we're back up onto the podium. Next up then, George Russell as Hamilton already 4 seconds up the road. On to lap 12 then, George Russell really struggling on his medium compounded tyres here. They don't seem to be supplying him the same sort of grip I'm sure he was hoping for off the safety car restart. We got much fresher, much softer tyres, and you can just see there how much later we're able to get on the brakes all over the back of our former teammate in his new Mercedes car there. We've only got, George going defensive through the penultimate corner there. That might allow us a bit of an opportunity on the exit there of the final turn to the outside. No, George Russell slams the door shut on that opportunity. It's going to be side by side as we head down towards turn 1. New fast lap of the Grand Prix. Albon going even faster, but we pull the move off, and now it's a 1-2 for 212 Motorsport. Oh, there we go. George Russell into lap 13. Sorry, Lewis Hamilton even. That's a blast from the past. Dives into the pit lane there as we set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix. 1.5 seconds quicker than pretty much anyone else in this Grand Prix. The team want us in lap 21 still. We're recommending we pit a bit earlier. But yeah, that really hasn't worked out well then for our teammate Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. He's going to be back out in about 7th or 8th place here. By the looks of it, he just stays out ahead of the Mclaren, so he does have some clear air. But when is this rain going to arrive? Starting to look a little bit more overcast. Might we need to start saving tyres? Oh, we got yellow flags out again as one of the Ferraris appears to have gone round. Seems like a very, very weird place to make a mistake. Not too sure if... Oh, that must be Charles Leclerc in this race. Really struggling, and he's pretty much now at the rear of the field. Oh, George Russell into the pits at the end of lap 15 there as we're just trying to pull away from the likes of Albon and Bottas here. So yeah, intrigued to see where George Russell's going to come back out. I think he's going to be behind the AlphaTauri. Not too sure which one that is, but not good for George Russell in this Grand Prix. There is Hamilton back up there for into 6th place. We're just trying to keep these tyres in good nick at the moment. It could really work out well for us, or if they go off, could pretty much ruin our race. Oh, there we go. There is the flash, so the rain is now here. The team saying the rain's going to get heavier and heavier for the next 15 minutes, but rain has now arrived at the ZANDVOORT circuit. How wet will the track get, and how quickly will it get wet before we need to pit in? Hopefully, for us now, it's sooner rather than later. Can't afford, though, to make mistakes in the wet. It's the only ever Grand Prix we haven't finished in this series. The only track we've ever had a retirement at. Had a big, big collision with Daniel Ricciardo back in Season 2. I do not want to double that number here today.
Improving. It's your choice as to whether you want to fit the wets next time you come in.
So the team then obviously saying that the inters or the wet tyres is certainly going to be the case very, very soon in this Grand Prix. We're still pulling away, though, from Albon behind us, who might be struggling a bit more on his medium compounded tyres. They just don't give the same sort of raw grip that the softs do in these slippery conditions here. But if these tyres hit the cliff, we start making mistakes, we overheat them. There's so many ways this can go wrong here, but we're just trying to keep it nice and steady, clean and tidy. Don't make any mistakes, don't panic if we run a little bit deep into the corners like we just did there. There's a lot of understeer, but it's still not quite ready for the changeover. Oh! No, 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 no! Into the wall through the final corner around this Dutch Grand Prix circuit. The team are saying a new strat is recommended here. Albon gonna fly past us there. What is the strat gonna be? The team is still saying mediums. It's definitely not ready for the medium tyres here at the moment, but Albon therefore moves up into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix there, so there's just nothing we could do through that final corner. I don't know if the car just started to ground out ever so slightly, or we just completely lost traction there. Very, very lucky we didn't take a lot more damage than we did there. But Albon now up to the lead of this Grand Prix. Maybe we'll be able to get back around him, but that is a friendly reminder of just how dangerous this ZANDVOORT circuit can be. Now the team recommending some intermediate compounded tyres, so we possibly could have pit the end of that lap. It seems like a lot of cars further down the field have done so, but it's going to leave us top runners hung out to dry at the moment as Albon, you can just see there, romping away from us through the middle sector. We need a new front wing as well here. Let's have a look how bad the damage is. Yeah, we're definitely going to need a new front wing as well, so that's going to cost us even more time in this Grand Prix. Big, big double lockup as we head through in towards the final sector of the lap. And yeah, Albon just romping away from us as we're trying to keep it clean and tidy. But let's just try and get through these final couple of corners and get to the pit lane here. Tyre temps are fine. DRS has been disabled. So definitely want to be getting on to those wet tyres or intermediate tyres. Get it stopped! We've got a 5-second penalty as well things are just going from bad to worse at the moment. Is why has Hamilton stayed out? Does he think he's going to lose less time by doing one extra lap? I've got no idea what's going on there. Albon has already gone back past us. We're not even in the right gear as we exit the pit lane. We're going to be back in 5th place in this Grand Prix there, behind Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas here. Look how slow Verstappen is on pit exit there. Clearly no confidence in his Ferrari, but things are all getting turned on their head at the moment. Let's look how slow Verstappen is, really struggling to try and get that Ferrari working again. Oz onto the intermediate compounded tyres. We run into the back of him. Wasn't expecting him to be that slow off the exit of the corner here. We need to try and get past Verstappen as quickly as possible. There was a nice little wobble from the rear of the car. This is all getting a bit crazy at the moment. This race, once again, China delivered with action from start to finish. It appears that ZANDVOORT is doing exactly the same thing. Has finally limped back round to the pit lane here as we try to get a run at the final corner on Max Verstappen. Certainly haven't got any sort of run this time round as we head back down in towards turn 1. So we are back up at a 4th place in this Grand Prix. DRS has obviously been disabled as Jeff's going on about in the background, but Verstappen certainly not up to pace to match the top guys, so hopefully we can try and get around him as we get a little bit of wheel spin through turn 2. Get a much better slingshot run though this time round, and look at that, the Ferrari, like it's standing still as we head up the hill, back up onto the podium. Oh, and instantly the car does that, and we picked up even more front wing damage. This thing is a death trap at the moment. Hamilton's going to fly past us as well, and as soon as things look good, they get even worse. Now we're under some pressure from Pierre Gasly. Didn't think we'd be battling AlphaTauri this weekend, I'll be honest. But yeah, like I said, as soon as things seem to get better, they suddenly take a turn for a worse again in this Grand Prix at the moment. But hopefully now with some clear air in front of us, we can settle down, get into our own groove. Hopefully we'll see maybe another safety car, try and bring the field back together, because 1 lap pace feels incredible still at the moment. But trying to get it hooked up seems to be a bit of a difficult challenge. Everyone around us in completely different pace windows. Let's just see if we can close back up to Hamilton, and what is the clouds going to do?
Green flag, the gap to
Oh,
the car ahead is
we got yellow flags out. Who is struggling? Is it Pierre? I think it is Pierre Gasly, who might be falling to the wayside then in this Grand Prix. Our 2nd mechanical failure of the day. Are we going to see another safety car from it as well? There, I don't think we are this time round. So right when we want a safety car, we don't get one. When we don't want one, of course a safety car appears. Anyway, that means we've got a little bit more breathing room from behind. The gap to Hamilton coming down a few tenths lap after lap though. 9 laps to go then here from the Dutch Grand Prix, and we are still definitely taking a fair chunk of time out of our teammate Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo. The team were at one point and about whether we need full wets, but not too sure that discussion is being had anymore at this late stage of the Grand Prix. But it's not looking good. I think the podium streak might be over here. The championship lead as well is almost definitely over, as Albon looks set to become our first repeat winner of the year. But when are we finally going to get that first race victory? That is the question I'm asking at the moment. We just never quite... We always seem to be fairly consistent, today excluding, but we just never quite seem to get that break where we're the quickest car on track. Despite all the craziness in this Grand Prix, one thing it's nice to see remains a constant, and that is, of course, Williams being the slowest car on the circuit, whatever the weather. Williams always loving to round out the field here as Latifi. Not too sure what that was at the final corner, but yeah, the gap to Hamilton still coming down here. We might be able to get the jump on our teammate, but remember, we do have that 5-second penalty still, so I think, unless we see something crazy happen, P6 might be all we can get. 5 laps to go, though, of this Grand Prix, and it seems that towards the end of the podium places, Verstappen and Ricciardo really start to struggle here, and Hamilton and I are actually making big gains on the pair of them, so not too sure what's happening later on in this Grand Prix, but maybe this race isn't done with after all. It seems to be about 5 seconds separating all of us at the moment, maybe just a little bit less than that. Yeah, perhaps this isn't done and dusted just yet. So the team's saying we're getting even closer and closer to maybe full wet tyres before the end of this Grand Prix. Only 4 laps to go. Could we see a dramatic twist here from ZANDVOORT. Can we finally try and make an overtake as well on our teammate Lewis Hamilton? He almost puts it in the outside wall at the final corner. Definitely cutting it very, very tight as we head back down towards turn 1 here. And yet all 4 of us seem to be bunching up at the moment. Verstappen really struggling. Hamilton, you can just see there through the first corner, definitely quite clearly struggling as well as we run a bit deep through turn 2 there. Turn 3 is normally where we gain a fair bit. Try and get a good run on the exit on our teammate there. A huge amount of wheel spin, but we do get a good run nonetheless there as we head up the hill. Not quite close enough to go for anything this time round though, and I think we're going to have to wait another lap. Getting another good run out of the final corner. 3 laps to go here from ZANDVOORT, and now the gap about 2 seconds separating all 4 cars there. Hamilton once again getting a bit fishtaily through the first corner. Can we try and get a bit of a better run through turn 2 and turn 3 this time round? All over the back of our teammate here. Hamilton though, not having any of it on the exit of the corner there. We do get a much better run though as we head up the hill side by side with our teammate, and we muscle our way through up into 5th place once again of the Dutch Grand Prix there. That was certainly one of the braver moves I've made this season, especially when you consider the fact it was our teammate. But instantly again, we make a mistake this time round. We don't hit any walls, but again, we find ourselves back where we started. A huge cluster of cars as well is not going to make this any easier, and you can see, looking at the mini-map, I think Verstappen is about to lap his teammate Charles Leclerc in this Grand Prix. Certainly don't see all too often in this series. We just look at this, lap cars really starting to get into the way at the end of this Dutch Grand Prix. Magnussen finally bails out. We can barely see what's going on through the spray there as Raikkonen sat a little bit in the way through the final corner. We've got another good run on our teammate Lewis Hamilton this time round. Can we finally make the move stick and hang on to it here? Only time will tell as we get a good run through the first corner. No, we do not. Huge amount of fishtailing there with just under 2 laps to go here from the Dutch Grand Prix. We should gain again in towards turn 3, almost into the back of our teammate there. I've got no idea just how close that was, but we get the power down again. We get to the inside again, and again we pull off the same brave move that we did just 1 lap ago. Can we hold on to it this time round though? Can we potentially close up to Ricciardo and Verstappen before the end of this Grand Prix there? We've still got Charles Leclerc in the other Ferrari just up the road in about P17 here. It really has not been his day in the end, but could Verstappen be on for Ferrari's first podium in quite a while as well? Only time will tell. We've got just over 1 lap to go here from ZANDVOORT, and if this race was any longer, I would have thought we'd all be pitting onto full wets. You can see just how little grip there is as you head through the final corners there. Hamilton trying to make a move work up the inside. Certainly no room for that one that time around, matey boy. But yeah, these tyres really starting to go off as well. The track getting a bit too wet for the Inters to be effective here. We do get a good run at the final corner. No one though opting to pit in, especially obviously with 1 lap to go. Definitely not going to be able to make the ground back up. But had we pit sort of 7-8 laps ago, maybe it would have been worth it here. Can we get 1 more overtake done on the road? It probably won't matter, obviously, when you take into account our penalty, but we might as well try and go for it nonetheless there. Ricciardo, now our next target as we head through the first couple of corners. Can we do the same thing we did to our teammate Lewis Hamilton? Way too fishtailing, nowhere near the same amount of grip that we had just 1 lap ago here. Plenty of mistakes could be made in the final lap of this Grand Prix here, but yeah, this is not intermediate conditions. These tyres are definitely way past their best in this race here. There is no grip left around ZANDVOORT, and this race today has absolutely thrown everything and everyone here. No one has had it easy this weekend, especially when it came to race day here. But through in towards the final few corners of this Grand Prix, it looks like Albon is going to become our first repeat winner of the season there and take the lead of the World Championship for the first time as well. For us though, it's going to be our first race not on the podium. Consistency is going to absolutely have to be key this year, and today we have absolutely not shown that. Albon comes through for the race victory. Bottas, a very quiet P2 in the end there as well, but Verstappen's going to get a podium for Ferrari at his home race. We though only get P5.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team. So let's review the updated drivers' standings. Alexander Albon takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
It's got to be Lando Norris, hasn't it? Smooth, confident and assured. I've got no doubt that he and his team are going to be over the moon with his performance today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. There was also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Dutch Grand Prix, and certainly an up-and-down race, but once again, not quite enough from 212 Motorsports there. Albon becomes our first repeat winner of the season, like I said. Pole position, and the race victory there. Didn't quite get fastest lap. We nabbed that point once again here. But Bottas P2 from third on the grid. Max Verstappen having a brilliant day out to get Ferrari's first podium since, honestly, it might be since the Belgian Grand Prix last year, where obviously he took that famous race victory and ended our win streak. One race off an undefeated season as well there. Daniel Ricciardo in fourth from seventh on the grid there. He hasn't had the best start to the season, but that is good points on the board there. He really does need to up his ante if he wants to challenge his teammate Alex Albon as well. Hamilton in fifth. Obviously, I forgot about our penalty at the end there. It means that we come down in P6 ahead of George Russell, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez and Lando Norris from the back of the grid. Made it all the way up to 10th place there in the end. A fantastic job on the one-stop strategy there. Danny Kvyat in 11th, just missing out on points ahead of Lance Stroll, and Antonio Giovinazzi doing a worldly of a race there, up in P13 ahead of Sainz, Nick de Vries, Jordan King, Charles Leclerc down in 17th, really no idea what to say about his race there, ahead of Raikkonen, Magnussen and Latifi there, with Gasly and Matsushita both not making it to the checkered flag there. Championship-wise though, like we said, Albon jumps his way to the top of the table. Now, what's that, 15 points clear over myself there. A further 7 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who jumps his teammate George Russell. Ricciardo still 5th, 11 ahead of our teammate Hamilton. And Verstappen, Sainz and Charles Leclerc trading places there in 7th, 8th and 9th there. Lando Norris another point, still in 10th ahead of Ocon and Sergio Perez there as well. And yeah, Giovinazzi pretty much now second best of the rest there, just behind Daniel Kvyat, who obviously is very, very unlucky to have not scored a point in the early rounds of this season there. But constructors-wise, though, we were already P3, so no idea why it's saying we've dropped to P3 there as well. But yeah, we need to see a resurgence of form here. We've spent so much time now looking at the durability that we definitely are going to need to bring a couple of upgrades to the car over the next couple of weekends there. But Red Bull still on top, 19 ahead of Mercedes, 26 ahead of ourselves, and then 105 ahead of Ferrari, who after that good result give themselves a little bit of breathing room ahead of McLaren there. Renault get the jump on Racing Point and AlphaTauri, and Williams, look at that, up into 9th place there. Let's see if they can hold on to that by the end of the season as well. But yeah, a lot of work needs to be done for ourselves. We will be back very, very soon for the Spanish Grand Prix. Do make sure you get yourself subscribed and be there. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.